The sun was slowly creeping over the horizon, fresh morning dew on the grass, the birds singing their songs, and a gentle wind blowing through the trees. He let out a long yawn. The air was thick with the smell of the remains from last night's kill, the odor of blood still in the air. He stood up from his comfortable spot under the tall oak tree. He took a small step forward and shook from side to side as water and mud flew from his sleek black fur. He began walking away from his resting place towards the stream, not 25 feet away. As he was approaching the stream, he heard a howl, his alpha sending out his call to come home. He ignored the call as he enjoyed being on his own. After all, he was a formidable predator, standing at an astonishing 9 feet tall. Big, broad shoulders, a muscle-toned chest, a slender yet toned abdomen, strong, powerful legs and arms made him the perfect killer, both powerful and agile. His sharp 4.5-inch claws glistened in the sunlight, and his mouth full of razor-sharp fangs, perfect for ripping apart flesh and breaking bones. He thought back to his kill last night as he bent down, drinking the cool, crisp water of the stream. The thrill of the hunt. The elk had no idea that he was there, just feet away. He smiled at the thought of pouncing on his prey, grabbing the elk by its throat as he bit down on its neck, tearing the bull elk's head clean off. Another howl, again the alpha's call. He let out a humph as he rolled into the stream. A perfect morning for a hunt, Dale thought, as he reached for his recurve bow and pack from his Ford F-150 pickup truck. A cool morning, high visibility and low wind, making for an accurate shot with his bow. The theme song from that animated show, The Venture Brothers, starts playing on Dale's phone. Dale checks his phone and answers. "Hey, Matt. What's the word?"
"Hey, brother. I just passed the second gate. I'll be there in less than 10 minutes,
said Matt. "Okay," replied Dale.
"Did you bring all your gear?"
Matt asked Dale. "Yes, everything. My bow, a quiver full of 30 arrows, my .45 caliber pistol, spare clip, flashlight, water, a couple of granola bars, and my compass," answered Dale.
"A compass? I bet it's that purple one Lisa bought you for Valentine's Day."
"Sure is, Matt." Matt chuckled.
"Okay, buddy. You know I have a GPS, right?"
"Electronics don't always work, brother," Dale snapped back. "How's Aaron doing?" Dale asked.
"We're in the middle of it, man. I'm tired of the fighting,"
said Matt. "Sorry to hear," Dale says. Suddenly, Dale hears a faint howl in the distance. "What the hell?"
"What?"
Matt asks. "Never mind. I'll be there in a few." Dale hangs up his phone and drops it into his pocket, confused about the howl. A coyote? He wonders. Maybe. A few minutes passed by. Dale had opened his tailgate and was leaning against it with his bow in hand, waxing the string. Matt pulls up and sees his friend. He puts his pickup in park and says, "Hey, brother," as he hops out of his truck. "Are you ready to get this hunt going?" Matt has been looking forward to this hunt for the past 2 weeks. "Yes, I am," says Dale as he closes the tailgate to his truck. Matt and Dale exchange pleasantries as they both hear another faint howl. "Matt, you heard that?" "I did. It sounded like a coyote, but different." "Agree. It's off." "Meh, forget about it. Let's get going." Dale shrugs his shoulders and grabs his gear. "Let's do this, brother," Dale says, in an excited tone. The two friends start walking up the narrow trail. They're in the middle of nowhere. South of them used to be a logging camp. However, it was shut down due to strange sightings and a missing person case. The internet wasn't very helpful in providing information about the story. Matt had told Dale he did some research on the area and its surroundings. All that he told Dale was that the terrain was filled with hills, trees, and big-ass rocks. Matt's research skills were average at best. He was always more of a let's see what happens kind of fellow, which was fine with Dale, as he was just looking to escape from the normal life of a mid-class businessman. They both loved the woods and have been hunting many times before. They were both hopeful that this trip would be different from the day-to-day life they normally led. "Hey, Dale," said Matt. "Yo, the stand is about a mile up the path. See the clearing ahead? Just past that, there is a slight ridge with plenty of tree cover and great sightlines." "Sounds good. Let's keep moving." They continued walking towards their makeshift tree stand that they fabricated about 3 days ago. The trees looked over a small valley with a large meadow and a cluster of trees. A stream ran through the area as well. When they scouted the area, they saw all sorts of tracks out there, including deer, rabbits, coyotes, a bear, and elk. The two friends stopped near the base of the tree that held their stand. They just listened for a few minutes, birds chirping and insects moving about. So serene, so peaceful. The two men sat down on some rocks as they leaned their weapons on the tree. "Matt," Dale says, "your bow is great." "Yes, sir. A state-of-the-art compound bow with all the necessary modifications you could ever need," Matt replies. "That's great," said Dale. "I finally got it spec'd out." "She's a beauty," Matt said. "She?" Dale questions with a slight smirk. "Yeah, bro. She." The men stare at each other for a moment, then let out a good laugh. They remove some snacks from their packs and begin to eat. The wind blows through his fur as he slowly walks through the trees. He is thinking of his alpha, who is getting weaker. He won't be leading the pack for much longer. He doesn't have any resentment towards the alpha. He learned most of what he knows from him. His ears twitch. He hears a sound in the valley to his right. He's heard this sound before. He stops and listens, and suddenly the unmistakable smell of urine hits his nose. An intruder. This was his territory. Intruders weren't welcome. He pinpoints the smell and heads towards the direction. He slowly is approaching a cluster of trees as movement catches his attention. Wobbling from side to side, a brown mass is rubbing against one of the trees. He knows this creature. He lets out a slow whoomph. Encounters with these creatures usually result in a fight. They're slow, not very intelligent, but strong. He continues approaching the trees. The wind is in his favor. He gets real low to the ground, coming from behind the creature who is oblivious to his presence. He starts to salivate at the thought of tasting the creature's flesh. His eyes narrow. He is within striking distance now. He can feel his claws ripping into the beast. He can't take it anymore. In a flash, he strikes. Slashing with his claws, he cuts through the bear's throat. The warm crimson liquid sprays onto the surrounding trees. He can feel the liquid flowing down his claws, his amber-colored eyes narrowing further as he watches the bear hit the ground. In a blink, he grabs the 700-pound bear by its neck, lifting it into the air, then slamming it to the ground. He sinks his fangs into the chest of the bear, tearing away a huge, bloody chunk of flesh. Fur and blood move through the air. He swallows the flesh and lets out a tremendous roar. Confirming his kill, Dale and Matt jump at the sound of the spine-tingling roar. "What in the fuck was that?" Matt exclaimed, his eyes wide with terror. "I have no idea," said Dale, with the same expression on his face. "Whatever the fuck it was, it's close, and I sure as hell don't want to meet it," Dale said while gripping his bow tightly. "Agreed," Matt said, while shaking his head, trying to compose himself. Dale removed his .45 caliber pistol from his pack, checked the magazine, and chambered around. Dale, I doubt that's going to help. It helped with that cougar in Utah, right? Yeah, that wasn't a fucking cougar though, Dale. Matt was able to compose himself. He reached into his pack as well, pulling out a sawed-off 12-gauge double-barrel shotgun and an ammo belt with slugs. "That's your uncle's old gun, isn't it?" said Dale. "Yes, he gave it to me on my 32nd birthday." "So, now what?" "All the game within earshot of that roar is gone," Dale said in a frantic tone. Matt shook his head. "I'm not sure, Dale. Let's glass and see what's out there. Maybe there's still some game around. If not, we will leave. It will take us more time if we have to field dress an animal. Plus, a kill will lure in whatever made that roar," Dale exclaimed. Dale picks up his binoculars. He starts scanning the area below. He notices movement in a cluster of trees a couple miles out. "Matt, movement in the trees. What is it?" "I'm trying to focus in. Hang on." Dale lets out a gasp. "What, Dale? What do you see?" "A grizzly." "No way. We have a tag for one grizzly," Matt says with excitement. "There's something off. It's shaking back and forth, and there's a pool of blood underneath it." "What's off about that, dude?" "The bear made a kill. That's why we haven't seen anything, Dale." Matt huffed. "Fucking bear." "No," Dale remarked. His face turned pale, his eyes widened, filling with tears. "The grizzly is the one that's been killed," he said. Matt is confused. His friend is clearly terrified, but he has to be mistaken. Matt snatches the binoculars from Dale's shaking hands and presses his eyes against the binoculars. He focuses in on the cluster of trees, and he sees it. A giant black mass, ripping pieces of flesh from the mangled corpse of what used to be a 700-pound grizzly bear. "What the fuck?" Dale pulls the binoculars from Matt's hands, and in a frantic whisper, he says, "Matt, what in the fucking hell is going on?" "Calm down, Dale. It's just a cougar." Knowing full well that a cougar stood no chance of taking down a bear of that size. Not to mention he's never seen a black cougar. Matt grabs his own binoculars from the pouch on his belt. The two men stare through their respective lens at the horrific sight. Slopping rips, warm liquid, the sweet marrow from the broken bones. His pleasure was something to be treasured. He's encountered these creatures before and feasted on them. This beast holds a lot of flesh, too much for him to eat alone. He knew his pack would eventually smell the kill and investigate. However, that wouldn't be until the sky was dark. As he sits back into a crouching position, he catches a savory smell on the wind. He smelled it before from his prey. He licked his bloodied chops and took a deep breath in through his nose. He took another. Where was that delicious smell emanating from? Matt and Dale stared in horror at the huge wolf-like creature through the binoculars. A big, broad chest, strong abdominal muscles pulsing as the beast took in long breaths. Blood was covering his snout and parts of his face. Deep amber eyes, pointed ears, and dark black fur like a midnight sky. "Matt," Dale whispered. "What the fuck, dude? That's a goddamn werewolf." "No, Dale. I know what it is. It's called a Dogman. I've heard stories about them in YouTube videos. I never would have imagined seeing one though. Or that they even existed for that matter," Matt said clearly in disbelief. "No fucking way, Matt. No way." Just then, the Dogman stood up on two legs, turning his huge head from side to side. The two men stared in horror at the sight of the blood-covered beast. "Oh shit," Matt exclaimed. He dropped the binoculars. "Did you see that? The fucker just looked right at us," he said. "Matt, there's no way he could see us from this far away. He'd have to have go-go gadget eyes. We are miles away. How about the fact that it just stood up on two legs?" The two men looked at each other in terror. Both men looked through their binoculars again. "What the hell?" both men said. "It's gone," Matt exclaimed, as they stared horrified at the bloody corpse of the once powerful grizzly bear. The smell was close. He continued sniffing the air. He stood on his hind legs, reaching his full 9-foot height, turning his head side to side, trying to pinpoint where the smell was emanating from. His ears turning ever so slightly, trying to pick up any sound. He took a huge breath in through his nose. There it is. He snapped his head in the direction of the captivating smell. He pushed off the ground beneath his feet, heading towards the ridge above him, bounding over boulders and moving past trees in a flash. He was getting excited as he knew this smell well. Fear. He smiled at the thought as he closed in. He got low to the ground as he crept through brushes. He continued to sniff the air and listen intensely. Where is it? There. The tree was not 40 feet in front of him. He wanted to investigate, but his experience as an apex predator made him think better. He waited patiently. The sun began falling from the sky. Suddenly, there was movement high in the tree. He observed with curiosity. Sasquatch, he thought. No, these creatures were too small to be Sasquatch. They had green and brown fur covering their bodies everywhere except their faces. Sticks with vines tied to either end. He knew these sticks. He had seen them before. He cocked his head to the side when he saw a shiny stick in one man's hand as he was descending the tree. He knew this object. It makes a loud sound and sprays fire. He let out a low growl at this sight. The one man looked in his direction. He wasn't concerned as he was well hidden. The two creatures were communicating with each other. He tilted his head slowly, flicking his ears. Again, he smelled it. Fear. It was radiating off of them. He controlled the urge to spring forth and consume their flesh, but he waited and studied his prey further. He followed the two creatures away from the tree, only moving when they moved, keeping his distance. The two creatures kept turning their heads, scanning their surroundings. He moved silently from one tree to another, closing the distance. One of the creatures stops and points in his direction. His amber eyes narrowed. Did they see him? Were they aware they were being stalked? He crouched down. He could see the men looking in his direction, communicating. One of them is coming towards him. He can sense the creature's fear. A howl rose from the deep forest. The man froze and backed up towards the other. He could sense their terror. He recognized the howl. It was a member of his pack, his brother. He must have smelled the blood and flesh of the beast he killed earlier. He could have it. These two creatures, though, they were his. Dale, let's fucking go, screamed Matt. I don't want to meet whatever made that howl. Matt, I saw something in the trees. It's following us, Dale said, while pointing in the direction of the Dogman. It doesn't fucking matter, dude. Let's move now. I have a bad feeling. We need to go. Dale looked at his friend. Matt was clearly afraid, as was Dale. They heard a growl earlier. It was low, but they heard it. There's been an eerie silence in the forest around them as they head towards their trucks. Dale finally agreed. Okay, let's move. Dale and Matt continued moving in the direction of their trucks. Dale swore he could see movement in the trees. However, Matt had tunnel vision. He was focused on getting to the trucks. Matt had the urge to urinate ever since the sighting of the bear. It was unbearable. Dale, I need to piss. Hold up. Matt, are you out of your mind? Whatever made that sound could be closing in on us, replied Dale. Suddenly, Matt sees a dark shape crouching within the trees. Matt squints. He realizes there are eyes. Deep, piercing, amber-colored eyes. Dale, Matt says in a shaken tone. What? Look, whispers Matt. Where? At what? Look. There. Right there. Dale sees what Matt is looking at. He can't believe it. Is that? Yes, Dale. I fucking told you. What do we do, Matt? We get the fuck out of here. Now. Dale lets off a shot with his .45 towards the shape. The two men turned to run. They couldn't believe what they saw. It was a Dogman. They knew they couldn't outrun the beast, but they were going to try. Only about 100 feet to the truck, screamed Dale. Let's go, Matt. The two men were running as fast as their legs could carry them. Matt, run to my truck. It's unlocked, Dale screamed at Matt. The two men approached the respected doors of Dale's pickup. Just as Dale touched the driver's side door handle, a deep, menacing roar comes from behind them. The roar shakes Dale's core. Matt, already in the truck, tells Dale to let's go. Trees burst into splinters. Wood and dirt fly through the sky, hitting the truck. Dale fumbles into the driver's seat and slams the door. Matt pulls his friend's jacket. Dale looks at Matt, tears flowing from his eyes. Dale looks in front of the truck. There it is, a 9-foot monster. A broad, wolf-like head, a long snout, and sharp teeth bearing from its maw. Claws the size of steak knives at the ends of its long fingers. Strong arms leading to a muscled chest, down to a slender-toned abdomen, and strong canine legs. His amber eyes pierced their very souls. He stared at the two creatures inside the machine. He had seen these machines before, when they were destroying his home. Humans. He despises these creatures. He remembered his pack setting upon intruding humans that cut down their home. His pack was close, but the humans were able to escape. Not all of them, though. The pack was able to separate one as he ran into the forest. At that time, the Dogman was just a pup when he watched his father rip the human in half. Though, he glared deep into each human's eyes before him, and he let out a deep, guttural growl. He could hear the humans yelling frantically inside the machine. The fear coming off of them was delightful, pouring into the air. He took a step forward, and they screamed louder. The machine came alive. He burst forward, leaping onto the hood of the machine. As he punched through the windshield, he slashed at the humans. He felt his claws scrape into one human's flesh. The machine started to move backwards, but it didn't get far as it hit the front of the other machine behind it. Suddenly, he felt a searing hot pain in his shoulder. He roared in anger. The two humans grabbed their ears. Dale, go, go, go! Punch it! Matt screams as he fumbles with his double barrel, trying to reload. He just blasted a slug into the beast's shoulder. The roar it let out was deafening. The Dogman had scraped Matt's chest with its razor-sharp claws. Boom! Another slug flew past the Dogman's head. He snarled at Matt, and a huge clawed hand came crashing through the windshield, grabbing the shotgun from Matt's hands. Dale slammed on the accelerator as he turned the wheel hard to the right. Rocks and dirt flew through the air as the tires fought for a grip. The beast tumbled from the truck, slamming its head into the hard ground. It groaned in pain. The two men are speeding through the darkening path in the forest. "Are you all right?" Dale yelled to Matt. "No, dude. I am not all right." "What in the fuck is going on?" "That fucking beast is trying to kill us," Matt frantically yelled. "No shit," Dale screams. Dale skids around the bend. "Look out," Matt screams in terror. He was fueled with rage. That human shot at him. His shoulder burned, and he was dazed from hitting his head on the hard ground. He was pissed off. He rose to all fours, shaking his head as he composed himself. The humans won't get far. He burst through the trees. He could see the truck sliding around turns. He was gaining ground, almost in range. He inhaled deeply as he dug his claws into the earth beneath him. He lunged through the bushes as the machine was turning around a sharp bend. He timed it perfectly. His shoulder impacted the driver's side door of the machine. The force blew small bushes and rocks through the air. The truck tumbled violently down the hillside, smashing into trees as it rolled. He leaped down the hill, following the banged-up machine, stopping at the top of a boulder in between two giant trees, watching the broken machine come to a stop against a tree. The sunlight was fading fast, especially now under the canopy of the trees. His amber eyes sharply watched for any movement inside the truck. Flicking his ears side to side, listening for any sound, he heard faint, thumping sounds and 2 heartbeats. He focused in, and the 2 creatures' breathing were strained as well. The smell of blood tickled his nostrils. Now, he will patiently wait for his prey to emerge from the now useless machine. The daytime sun had sunk back behind the horizon. The black of night had come. The moon shone bright, high in the sky. The forest was quiet, except for the occasional hoot from an owl or chirp of a cricket in the distance. The moonlight shined in on Matt through the demolished driver's side door. He started to come to. He slowly opened his eyes, blinking rapidly. Finally, he fully comes to. It hurts to breathe. He has pressure on his arm as it's trapped. "Fuck," Matt whispers. He feels his chest and coughs as he breathes. His side hurts, possibly a broken rib. He looks at his left arm, caught under the seat. He was able to wiggle his arm free, and as he removed his arm, he let out a groan. He sees Dale's .45 caliber pistol and grabs it. Then he reaches into his pocket, pulling out his flashlight. Matt turns on the flashlight and scans the inside of the truck's cab. He sees Dale lying unconscious behind the seats. "Dale. Fuck, man. Dale, are you all right? Can you hear me?" Dale was severely injured. Blood was oozing from his forehead, nose and ears, and a huge gash across his left arm with his forearm bone poking from his skin. Lord only knows what internal injuries Dale has sustained. "Hang in there," said Matt to his unconscious friend. Matt needed to get Dale to safety. He needed to get them out of the destroyed truck. Matt quickly did an inventory check. He had Dale's .45 with a clip inside. He ejected the clip and inspected the ammunition. 6 rounds. He loaded the magazine and chambered a round. Matt saw Dale's pack. He quickly grabbed it and removed the spare clip. 8 rounds, Matt counted. Matt continued to remove items from Dale's pack. A flashlight, a hunting knife with a 10-inch blade, and Dale's compass. He then checked his own pack and removed his truck keys, a tactical knife with a 12-inch blade he had purchased from Amazon not 3 days ago, some water, and a granola bar. He then used his knife to cut a rag into strips. He broke 4 of Dale's wooden arrows and placed them on either side of Dale's arm. Then he used a water-soaked strip to cover the bone protruding from Dale's forearm. "Good thing you're unconscious for this, brother. It's gonna hurt," Matt said. As gently as he could, Matt did his best to set Dale's arm. Using the arrows and rag strips, he fashioned a makeshift splint, then covered Dale with his jacket. Then placed a water bottle and Dale's knife next to Dale. "Okay, brother. I'm going to get my truck and get us the hell out of this horror show. Stay here and don't move," Matt said sarcastically to his unconscious friend. Matt slowly and cautiously exited the damaged truck, scanning his surroundings with his flashlight, gripping the .45 handgun. "Okay, jackass. Your truck isn't going to teleport here. Let's go. It's just a Dogman. A huge, ferocious, 9-foot-tall Dogman. You'll be fine." "Oh, fuck," Matt mutters to himself. Matt looked around and saw the trail of destruction the tumbling truck caused. He checked the compass and aimed it northwest. He began ascending the hill towards the direction of his vehicle. Movement in the truck. He smiled, showing his toothy grin. He was happy the humans weren't dead. He wanted the pleasure of killing them himself. He silently moved from the boulder he was crouching on, slowly making his way towards the truck. He wanted to investigate, so he laid down facing the side of the truck he charged into. Peering into it, he could see one of the humans gathering items. He sensed the panic. He saw the other human was unconscious, blood coming from his face. He licked his chops at the sight. He watched the human start to move out of the machine. He lay perfectly still, being as silent as possible. The human shined a light into the forest around him, slowly scanning his surroundings. The human started to walk towards the debris trail. He watched him until he was out of his sight line. Then he slowly started creeping towards the machine, sniffing the air, the smell of blood filling his nose. He reached the machine and stuck his head inside, sniffing around the inside of the truck's cab. He slowly moves further inside. He lightly touches his nose to the unconscious human's face and sniffs. The sweet smell of blood. The human's chest slowly rises and then gently falls. The creature isn't dead yet. "Come on, dude. Almost there," Matt says as he stops to catch his breath. Matt continues to jog towards his truck. The forest is silent around him. Everything seems still. Matt thinks of his friend passed out in his demolished vehicle. He has to get to his truck and back to Dale. Matt turns the bend. He sees his pickup and continues to jog towards it, quickening his step. Matt reaches out to pull the handle of the driver's side door. Suddenly, a blur of brown fur crashes into him, sending him hard into the ground. In a daze, Matt sees it. A brown wolf-like creature with red eyes standing over him, snarling, teeth bared, drool dripping from its maw. "Oh, shit," Matt exhales, scrambling backwards. Another one. "Fuck." The brown Dogman narrows his eyes. He lets out a challenging roar as it moves towards Matt for the finishing blow. Matt raises his .45. 2 shots hit the beast in the upper chest. The Dogman roars out in pain as he stumbles back. Matt scrambles to his feet and takes aim at the huge beast before him. The Dogman charges Matt, its mouth wide. Matt sees all of its blood-stained fangs. Matt squeezes the trigger repeatedly as he screams out. 1 bullet grazes the beast's upper snout, as the other 3 bullets fly through the Dogman's mouth and out the back of its skull. Blood, bone, and brain matter following the bullets through the air. The Dogman hits the ground in front of Matt's feet with a solid thump. Matt lowers the smoking .45, shaking in his trembling hand, looking at the beast before him in terror and shock. He killed it. He couldn't believe it. He looked at the .45 in his hand, The last bit of smoke leaving the barrel, the slide locked in the drawn-back position. Matt pulled himself together as he inspected the monster before him. This one was smaller than the other, about 7 feet tall. A bigger chest and legs, more like a stocky UFC fighter, with a shiny brown coat, now stained red. Matt ejected the spent magazine from the pistol and loaded the spare and chambered a round. Matt pulled his keys from his pocket as he stepped around the deceased Dogman. A loud, terrifying howl rang out from the direction of their makeshift tree stand. Oh fuck, Matt thought. More of them. I have to get to Dale. Matt jumped into his truck as he heard more terrifying howls coming from the forest. He started his pickup, turned around, and started heading back to his friend. He heard shots ring out, the roar of his kin, the howls of his alpha and other members of his pack. He looks at the human unconscious on the ground before him. He will be fast. He needs to investigate the commotion. It only took him a few leaps to make it up the hill. He could smell the blood in the air. It wasn't human blood. It was his kind. One of his pack was in trouble. He flew through the brush. He heard another machine heading his way. He peered through the trees. It was the other human heading back to the demolished truck and the unconscious human he pulled from the wreckage. He let out a low growl, then continued following the scent of blood. It was strong now. He could smell a familiar scent. He crashes through the bushes and finds his brother lying lifeless on the forest floor. He could smell the scent of the other human. It killed his brother. Rage filled him. He threw back his head and let out a roar. He was pissed. He pushed off the ground, leaping through the air, bounding through the woods, moving as fast as he could, trying to catch the human that killed his kin. The thought of pulling the human spine from his body, consuming his flesh, was all he could think of. The rage building. The human, there it is. He barreled towards the human. Matt heard something like an avalanche coming towards him through the forest. Oh shit, Matt sees the Dogman gaining ground on him. Matt pulls the pistol just as the monstrous Dogman smashes into him. He crashed into the human. As he wrapped his claws around him, Matt pulled the trigger. The Dogman growled in anger as the bullet grazed his side. They rolled down the hill. Matt crashed into a tree and his breath flew from his lungs. The Dogman crashed into a boulder. A painful yelp escaped him. Matt groaned in pain as he tried to gain his feet. He coughed as he spit out a glob of blood. He leaned against the tree as he caught his breath. Matt looked to his left in time to see the great beast stand to all fours. The Dogman let out a low growl as he fixed his gaze on Matt. He stood to his full height, his chest expanding and collapsing as he breathed. He growled in challenge. Matt was terrified. He couldn't show it though. He puffed his chest out and screamed a war cry. The Dogman pushed off the stone. In a blink he was in Matt's face, teeth bared. Matt pulled his knife. The Dogman grabbed Matt by his neck as he let out a deep guttural growl. As he opened his maw, he stared deep into Matt's eyes. Matt could see his reflection in the beast's eyes. Matt moved as fast as he could, raising the knife. Out of the corner of his eye, the Dogman saw the glint of the knife he quickly slashed with his razor-sharp claws. Matt screamed in pain as the knife in his hand fell to the forest floor. Tears fill Matt's eyes as blood pours from the stump. The Dogman growls as he squeezes his clawed hand tighter around Matt's neck. Matt gasps as he sees an arrowhead protruding from the Dogman's skull. The Dogman's eyes roll back into its head. His grip around Matt's neck slowly releases. The great beast falls face first into the ground. Matt drops to his feet. He looks up to see Dale standing 20 feet away, holding Matt's compound bow in his hands. Dale exhales and smiles at his friend. Matt smiles back as he reaches in his pocket for a bandana and starts wrapping his wrist. Dale starts to move towards his friend, and Matt's eyes open wide. "Dale!" Matt screams. A huge clawed hand wraps around Dale's head. Dale screams in agony as he is lifted from his feet. His screams intensify as his skull begins to crack. Matt cries out as he watches Dale's skull caved in beneath the force of the massive clawed hand. A monstrous gray and red dogman steps out of the shadows. Almost 11 feet tall, with a huge barreled chest, like a bodybuilder, and 6-inch claws. Scars covered his chest. Piercing ember eyes glowed. A deep, guttural growl came from its giant maw. "The Alpha." "My God," Matt said, as the Alpha Dogman stepped forward. As he did, he threw Dale's lifeless corpse at Matt's feet. The growl shook Matt's core. Matt looked down at Dale's body. His eyes bulged out from the broken sockets, blood and brain leaking from his skull. Matt looked up at the Alpha. The Alpha glared back at Matt as it snarled, showing its long, curved fangs. He took a giant step towards Matt. Multiple sets of glowing eyes pierced the darkness. Matt knew this was the end. Nowhere to run. No way to defend himself. The Dogman started to yip and growl in anticipation of the kill. The glowing eyes moved in closer. Matt could see the forms taking shape. They moved in closer and closer. The Alpha moved in a flash. Matt felt nothing. The last registering sight was the Dogman ripping his and Dale's bodies apart as they consumed their flesh. Then white nothingness. The Alpha let out a bellowing howl. The rest of the pack joined in. This was a warning call. Stay away. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Descent into the Unknown for more terrifying stories.